had a very sinister plan in motion to kill every single business in the USA.
The world doesn't revolve around the United States, except it does, whether you like it or not.
China had a very sinister plan in motion to kill every single business in the USA, but it was spoiled last night. You see, over the last few weeks, while the CCP was negotiating a trade deal with the USA, they were secretly blackmailing other countries to stop exporting goods to the United States. We only know this because one of these countries actually shared the blackmail letters with the Trump administration. Now, according to this letter, China wanted to kill every American business, and they wanted to do this on November 1st, 2025. The terrifying question is, why China thinks they can even attempt something like this? Well, the answer lies in their insane monopoly on a critical sector that was once ruled by the US. You see, defense systems, semiconductor production, automotive manufacturing, and healthcare all can't function without rare earth elements.
I honestly just see this as desperation. I wouldn't say this is being done by China. I would say the CCP, which is only about 100 million people. But really, it's Xi Jinping, the dictator. The CCP is acting very aggressive and, in my eyes, very desperate. I don't see this as a good sign for them. Countries in their decline act the most desperate and act the most crazy. So we have to watch out for China because they're throwing Hail Marys out there.
Quick recent history lesson. On 9/17, the U.S. and China met in Madrid, basically guaranteeing to each other they would not escalate the trade war. Then on October 1st, the U.S. Commerce Department announced the 50% rule, which is a major escalation in the trade war. Then on the morning of October 10th, it was announced that China was going to seriously tighten rare earth export controls. Then on 10/10 in the afternoon, it was announced that Trump is going to put 100% tariff on Chinese imports. Now, the whole reason that I give you this history is just so you know the chain of events that took place. Because you're going to hear a lot of stuff, including, this is not something that I instigated, this was just a response to something that they did, and they didn't really aim it at us, they aimed it at the whole world. That's the type of bullshit you're going to hear, that China started this problem, that China did it. And we've been saying that forever, but that has not been the bend of the way this has gone. China has not instigated this trade war. There was a time, way back in like the early 2000s and the 90s, etc., in which China's economy was wholly dependent on the US and its consumers as buyers. That's not the case anymore, but you have to ask yourself, why would a country in that position start a war, a trade war, with the country that is their basic monopsony, right? And the answer is that they wouldn't, because they're not that stupid.
When it comes to trade wars, Trump has definitely met his match when it comes to China.
This man is seriously the biggest stock market manipulator we've ever seen. Now on early Friday, Trump tweeted this out, threatening 100% tariffs on China, which absolutely tanked the stock market, and then later confirmed the 100% tariff on China, which absolutely crashed the crypto markets, and XRP even fell 50%. But then what do you know, less than 48 hours later, Trump tweets that everything is going to be fine, and the crypto markets surge again. And something tells me the Trump family bought a ton of crypto during that crash, because they hold billions of dollars in crypto. And this is not the first time we've seen manipulation from Trump, when he did it with Intel and Apple. Not to mention when he tweeted this masterpiece.
This man is a serious market manipulator. Everyone was bearish on Friday. Everyone was ready to sell their crypto. Everyone was ready to walk away. And I told you all that I would wait until Monday to see what would happen. But this happened Sunday into Monday. This is insane. At this point, it's obvious that Trump and his friends used this moment in time to buy a ton of crypto, to stock up. Now, a lot of you were also writing to me that you couldn't even put in your orders were not going through. The same was happening to me. This is market manipulation at its finest. I even tweeted this: the biggest scam isn't crypto. The biggest scam is the government quietly accumulating for years while telling the public crypto is a scam. And it's garnered a ton of comments. Do you think people realize how much governments are quietly investing, or are they still blindly skeptical? What do you think? Are people buying crypto now, or are they still skeptical when it comes to crypto? Let me know in the comments.
US-China tensions have entered a new stage, and once again, Trump will win. Here is what happened this week. China tightened export controls on rare earth metals, the materials the world needs for chips, EVs, and defense. Trump fired back right away, announcing a 100% tariff on Chinese goods. But here is what most people missed. China's move wasn't random. It came after the US imposed steep port fees on ships owned or operated by Chinese companies. And behind that, Washington's frustration that China stopped buying US soybeans. The result, global stock markets plunged, panic spread. But honestly, there is no need to panic. This pattern, fight, pause, repeat, will probably last for years. And just like every round before, Trump will declare victory. Because in Trump's world, there is only one outcome, winning. But here is a twist. China is fine with that, because now China quietly holds more of the cards. The pattern goes like this. China makes a move. The US reacts. Negotiations happen. China partially rolls back. Then Trump announces victory. But China actually pays no price. That's what this new phase looks like. My personal view, there won't be a major military conflict. The shouting may sound ugly, but it's the reality we will have to live with. And over time, more Americans will realize something simple. China doesn't actually want to replace the US. Do you know why? I'm Yuan, a Chinese founder and scholar unpacking how this country and world really works. Follow for grounded takes from someone who has lived, built, and studied both China and the world. Check my bio page for more. Thank you.
First time in history, China has put out the extraterritorial jurisdiction. And guess who's on the receiving end? The US president himself. And you may not believe it, Chinese people are excited now because Trump waved his tariff stick again. Because we believe philosophically Trump is helping China. Trump has officially experienced what it feels like when America's own trades get turned back on America. What a comma. This all started with Trump's endless trade tantrums. Tariffs and docking fees, restrictions, sanctions, and now China's response has escalated to rare earth export control 2.0. And let's be clear, rare earths aren't earth, they are metal. Without them, modern life collapses. Smartphones? Dead. EVs? Bricks on wheels. Missiles and satellites, radar? Good luck. China's new rules have two killer clauses. Number one, extraterritorial kill shot. If any rare earth product produced anywhere in the world contains more than 0.1% Chinese technology, you must apply to Beijing for export permission. Re-export to the US? Nope. Number two, it's not just the raw materials anymore. China now controls the export of the entire value chain, mining, refining, magnet making, recycling, the works. In short, even if you are thousands of miles away, if you touch Chinese tech, you play by Chinese rules. This is the exact legal voodoo the US has used on every country for decades. Now Trump has to taste his own trick for the first time. Of course, some skeptics ask, can China really pull this off? Oh, yes. With 70% of the world's mining, 90% of processing, and 93% of magnet manufacturing, China isn't just a part of the rare earth game. It is the game. That's why the moment China dropped the policy, Trump went full meltdown on his social media, posting 1,000-word rage essay threatening 100% tariffs on China. And just like that, Wall Street cracked. A month's worth of Standard Poor's 500 gains evaporated overnight. Now Trump finally knows how it felt for everyone else when America waved around long-arm jurisdiction. This rare earth counterpunch was a precision strike on America's technological arteries. Imagine the scene. Trump says no lithography machines for China. Sure, but those machines need rare earths. Trump shouts no NVIDIA chips for China. Fine, but cheap fabs need rare earths too. iPhones, Teslas, and F-35s, Tomahawks, and nukes, all of them need Chinese rare earths. So from now on, take a number, file your paperwork, wait for approval. Even if you mine your own, if you use Chinese tech equipment or services, you need Beijing's green light. Except for humanitarian stuff like disaster relief, China's still keeping that door open, unlike some countries. This whole upgrade is basically China sealing the back doors. For years, foreign companies tried to dodge Chinese export controls through smuggling, talent poaching, and tech theft. Now, door shut, bolts locked, lights off. The message is simple. We've got the magnets, you've got the attitude, pick one. By closing these gaps, China is forcing Trump to sit down and talk, rather than lash out widely. China's stance hasn't changed. When friends come, we offer fine wine. When wolves come, we bring out the hunting rifle. So, wine or rifle? The choice is Trump's. So, as you can see, the US-China tariff war just got a lot more interesting. Round 2 isn't just tariffs anymore. It's radars, global tech choke points, and legal judo. So, do you think the next round of US-China tariff war is about to level up? Follow me an Eastern perspective to see the world.
A friendly reminder, if you're taking a slow boat to China, make sure it's made in China.
When our president announced today another 100% tariff on Chinese imports effective November 1st, the entire world market crashed. And it wasn't just U.S. markets that suffered. Yeah, the U.S. lost $1.65 trillion in stocks. That was a bloodbath. $250 billion was wiped out in crypto market cap today. And remember, the entire world is trading in crypto, not just the United States. Every European market witnessed at least a 1% drop, and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index also dropped by about 1.7, 1.8% as a result of just the announcement. But my prime indicator for how the world market is doing is the price of oil. And that sucker dropped below $60. That is not a very good sign. Earlier this year, it also touched this level, and before that, it was when we were recovering from the huge recession after 2020. So right now, there is no country that can alter the course of the markets to the scale that the United States can. The only exception to that rule was Saudi Arabia under OPEC, but once the U.S. developed their own strategic petroleum reserve, and then we started getting our oil from shale successfully, Saudi Arabia lost that leverage. I'm not trying to brag or say, oh, America is so great. This is just the fact. Okay, just like saying China is the world's largest manufacturer, they have so much influence over global manufacturing. That's not a boast or saying a bad thing. That is just a fact. And while China's dominance is absolutely through its manufacturing, the United States' dominance is through its dollar, which is still the world's main currency. 88% of all global foreign exchange transactions happened through the dollar. 58% of global exchange reserves are US dollars, and 54% of all global trade, the entire planet, was done in US dollars. But some people are saying, well, you know what? I mean, India has been using China's currency to purchase Russian oil. So there you go, dollar. Well, let me tell you something. Rupees are nearly a worthless currency. So Russia doesn't want to have a huge pool of rupees in their forex reserves. They want to have something that's a lot more tradable. They would prefer the dollar, but they can't get access to it. So, of course, they are going for the Chinese yuan. And nobody's going to be flocking to the yuan to rival the US dollar for the sheer fact that China is still holding on to at least $750 billion of US treasuries, and they are sitting on about $2 trillion of US equities and cash. And when it comes to debt markets, right now there's about $100 trillion floating around in public debt, and about 30% of that is debt issued by nations like China, Italy, the United States. Well, okay, so $30 trillion. Well, $9 trillion of those dollars, so about 33%, is just debt from the United States. All of the other countries have the other 66%. And the number 2 spot in that position is Japan. They have about $1.4 to $1.5 trillion of their debt held by other countries. So that kind of shows you the disproportionate level of influence of just US debt. In fact, every wealthy Middle Eastern country, especially Saudi Arabia, directly peg their own currency to the United States dollar. China kind of does too, because as I've mentioned before, they are sitting on at least $2 trillion of US cash and equities. Well, they literally just buy and sell US dollars through their own forex markets to manipulate their own currency. And the Chinese generally do this to keep the value of their currency low enough to keep their exports competitive. So if you wrap all that up, no other country has that level of influence over the world aside from the United States. Now, obviously, nothing lasts forever, but the US economy has been through much worse than this, and so has the world economy. Just remember, the US went off the gold standard in 1973, and people thought we were going to completely collapse by the end of the decade, and here we still are. But to be honest, the United States needs to have some kind of formidable competitor, kind of like what we had with the USSR, but hopefully smarter, because only then can the United States actually stay on their toes and not be so fiscally reckless. If you guys want to know more about the US dollar hegemony, let me know and I'll make more posts about it. Thanks for watching.
Confucius says, nobody wins a war. Nobody wins a trade war either. Let's just go back to be a trading partners, equal trading partners.
And I've heard this creator likes leaving his post short, concise, and straight to the point for you to think of the rest. So I was thinking related to what he has just shared there, and I realized that you can only trade when you're equal partners. When one of the partners start feeling that they're superior than the person they're trading with, it's when trading becomes a manipulation. It's no longer trade, We trade when we agree, and it's the disagreement that is leading to all this. And why are they disagreeing? Because, anyway, who knows why. That was it about this compilation. It was informational. That's why I'm observing from a distance, because if we start making judgment right now and we don't know where this is heading, we don't know what will be the consequences, but to be honest, people who are suffering losses are me and you, normal citizens. We've seen a creator we have seen an American who has unalived himself because he lost his money in trade, which is insane. How many losses will we have at the end of all this?